Hi everyone, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I'm your host, Dr. Haider Shah. On behalf of Kalwas, I would like to welcome all of you to this webinar. Thank you very much for joining us. Today we have another very interesting topic, and I'm really honored to welcome and introduce our distinguished guest speaker who is going to talk about how to graduate on time, the supervisor's perspective. In order to graduate on time, the guidance is very important, and we must consider different things which will be very important and need proper consideration. We must understand the supervisor's perspective of how they see the different things and how to meet their expectation, as they have walked the path and they know what things are important and how can you give importance to the various things. So you will get the best insight about all these things as we have an expert with us in today's this session. Really very interesting topics. So stay tuned because an amazing stuff are coming ahead in this session. So before we start, I would like to thank Kalwas for arranging such enlightenment sessions, for their support and providing us such a wonderful platform. The aim of Kalwas is to give you the opportunity to connect and interact with world-renowned speakers, academic leaders, teachers, authors, researchers, experts, professionals, and businessmen to learn from their experiences, recommendation, and suggestion, which will create an impact and will enable you to learn and develop yourself in order to grow and transform individually, as well as to contribute to the world in a positive way. As our slogan is come, learn, and share knowledge. So today we have an amazing person as guest. She is a versatile person with an amazing great qualities, having vast experience and exposure, an internationally known and recognized speaker. We always see her on different platforms while contributing to the world. So let me introduce her formally. She graduated from Curtin University, Australia, and is currently a professor at the Faculty of Accountancy, Universiti Teknologi Mara, Kawangan, Sarawak, Malaysia. She is associate member of the Malaysian Institute of Accountants and associate fellow of the Accounting Research Institute, one of the higher institution centers for excellence under the Ministry of Higher Education, Malaysia. Her research interests in the corporate social responsibility and sustainability, the corporate governance, public sector accounting, financial criminology. Moreover, she is an advisory member of the Social Responsibility Asia (SR Asia), the global certification program for professional in sustainability reporting. She is currently the co-chief editor of the International Journal of Service Management and Sustainability, one of the university's homegrown journals. She also serves as the editorial advisory board member of several Scopus and international referred journals. Her work have been published in reputable journals such as the Journal of Business Ethics and the Journal of Cleaner Production. She has received numerous national and international awards relating to her publication work throughout her 27 years of service in UiTM. Among the prestigious awards received are the Emerald Literary Award 2013 for the journal article entitled International Initiative Influence on the Local Government Sustainability, the Web Disclosures. Another award is in the 2018 for Outstanding Author's Contribution. Furthermore, her expertise had been acknowledged and included in the World List of Sustainability Researchers compiled by the Inter University Sustainable Development Research Program, that is the IUSDRP, the Hamburg University of Applied Sciences, the HAW Hamburg. Further, she contributed three chapters, that is two from SDG 4, the quality education, and one on SDG 12, responsible consumption and production in the Encyclopedia of the UN Sustainable Development Goals. Transforming the world, we cannot publish, we want published by Springers and are associated with the World Sustainability Series. This consequently being in a high impact, high visibility, peer reviewed output, she is actively supervising the both masters by research and doctorate student, and playing a role as a mentor for local and international academician in terms of research and publication. In addition to that, she has been invited as a keynote speaker and guest speaker in Indonesia, South Korea, and Malaysia. The Sarawak government honored her with the double PB, that is Meritorious Service Medal, for her significant contribution to the state of Sarawak. Last but not the least, she is a wonderful speaker, author, teacher, researcher, professional, and above everything, a great human being. So please help me in welcoming our guest, Professor Dr. Corina Joseph. Welcome to the Calvas platform, and thank you very much for joining us, Prof. Prof, your mic is mute. Yes, Prof. Yes, Prof, it's now fine. Please.
Fine. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, Prof. Welcome to the Calvas platform, Prof.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Haider Shah, for contacting me, for inviting me to this webinar. Okay. It is my pleasure to share my experience relating to the supervision, okay, especially on how to graduate on time for the postgraduate research students. Can you actually?
Yes, Prof. Let me just share these slides.
Share.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Prof. Over to you, Prof. Thank you, Prof.
Okay. Right. Yeah. So I am actually a professor in accountancy from Universiti Teknologi Sarawak branch. I hope you are familiar with Universiti Teknologi the main campus is located in Selangor, yeah, Shah, and I am based in Kota Semarahan, Sarawak, okay, in Borneo. Okay. So the objective of this sharing session is to share experience related to graduate on time, okay, for research students, especially from the supervisor's point of view. And this is the outline for my presentation for today. So the first one is the supervision process. Yeah? How actually I started as a course supervisor, yeah, to a PhD student way back in 2012. I graduated from my PhD in 2010. Yeah? Back then, it was quite difficult for us to get the student. Okay? So I was thankful at that time because I was assigned a student, okay, in 2012. Then slowly, okay, in 2014, I have my own student as a main supervisor, but only master's my research or MSc. Okay? And also my postgraduate supervision is actually obtained from my PhD journey itself. Okay? I registered in August 2007 and I completed in November 2010. I was really struggled to complete everything within three years, but it was happened that my external supervisor, New Zealand, couldn't complete his thesis examination due to the earthquake at that time. So there is a delay. So therefore, I completed my PhD around 3 years and 1 month plus, right? Back then, GOT is not really being promoted, yeah. But from a start, I always told myself, I want to finish within 3 years. Okay? But now when I think back, yeah, I'm still grateful that I complete my PhD less than 4 years. Right? And also, I was given an opportunity to manage the Center of Postgraduate Studies, in which I coordinated 12 faculties based on their research. And my tagline as a supervisor is supervision with care and wholeheartedly, right? Because I realize it is difficult to get the student since 20 after my graduation. So the moment I was assigned or the student choose me to be a supervisor, I will do my best to carry out my duty as the supervisor. Okay. Then, as for now, this is the information relating to my supervision, okay, expected from the university system, okay, they call it as expert system. So, as you can see here, okay, I have graduated a few students, four PhD and four masters, my research students, and out of out of six completion, right? I graduated three students, okay, as a main supervisor, and these students graduated on time. So, what do we mean by DOD? So, my sharing today is based on the perspective from the technology. Okay? So, when we talk about the competition for GOT, this is actually from the registration, okay? Registration as a postgraduate, be it as a master's or PhD student, and until the second group. Okay, so the duration for DOD for student should be not more than 24 months, okay, full-time student, and also for PhD is 42 months. Okay? So this is what is happening in my university. So as a supervisor, okay, there are few things that you need to be aware of. Okay, you must have sufficient knowledge, not only in terms of the research area that we are supervising, but also, okay, as a supervisor, you need to be alert, need to be aware of the procedures in relation to the postgraduate. Okay, so the structure of UiTM, like myself, okay, I am based in UiTM Sarawak branch. Okay, and then at the same time, we report to the faculty, okay, faculty which is based in Selangor, and also the Institute of Graduate Study itself in Selangor as well. So bear in mind, okay, we really have to follow all the procedures, and sometimes the changes happen quite rapidly in terms of the postgraduate administration. So therefore, as a supervisor, okay, because we need to advise our student, we have to know what's going on with us related to the postgraduate administration. So there are few procedures that we have to know as a supervisor, right from the application process, okay, then followed by defense of the research proposal, okay, thesis writing, okay, then thesis submission before viva, also correction, okay, after the viva. Okay, so for my university, the intake is actually throughout the year. Okay, throughout the year, but it does not mean that we can simply welcome the students any one of the year, because it will affect the timeline, right? So as a supervisor, we must be well versed in terms of how to handle this process. Okay? Students, particularly from my program, Faculty of Accountancy, they never be exposed to the research activity during their undergraduate. So in terms of the knowledge and all that, okay, is very minimal. So this is the role of the supervisor to actually expose the students on this administrative matter. And the also issue that we are facing is that we are having this generation gap. Yeah, I am in my early 50s, and most of my students are in 20s or middle 30s. So there is a generation gap here. Okay, in terms of the way we see things and the way we discuss about certain things in our journey. So these are also the issues whether or not supervisors need to actually take into consideration in their supervision. So far so good, Dr. Haider?
Yes, Prof, it's going wonderful. And your last point was so great that there is a generational gap and how you are going to cope with that. That was a wonderful. Please go ahead. Thank you.
Yes. All right. Okay. Thanks, Doctor. Okay. So I always start with the informal process. Why I call this as informal process is that when we have these potential students, the coaching part is not actually included in the official workload. We cannot put it anywhere in the system saying that, oh, I have a student. So that's why I call this as voluntary consultation. This is my style, and I know that there are few people outside there, they have the potential to disagree with this working style, but knowing that, it's very difficult to get students, so I don't mind to help, especially our own students from faculty because of the minimal background. So this is what I have been doing, guide the students to prepare the research proposal, which is normally 10 pages, as required by the Institute of Graduate Studies. This is not the chapter 1 until chapter 3. No, this is just for the purpose of the application. But again, when the student has minimal knowledge in the research, they will not be able to come out with this 10 pages of research proposal. So this is where the assistance is very much needed from the supervisor. So right. So the purpose of this informal coaching is actually to prepare the 10 pages research proposal. And although it is just 10 pages research proposal, some students, not all, still cannot write properly. That is the reason why the length of the informal coaching vary or differ depending on the learning style of students, how far they can learn during that period, right? So at that time, I really ask the students to meet me at least once a week, for full-time students, not students, potential students. And then I will explain to them the research planning. Let's say for the application is normally it's March or October. I'll ask them, actually to start doing the informal proposal for a few months before the semester open, because when the students want to submit their proposal, they have to go online, and before the pandemic, there is an interview for these postgraduate students. So it is not a straightforward kind of thing. So normally, the process will take around 3 to 6 months for the students who come up with the 10 pages proposal. Right? So this is where I will introduce to them the meaning of gaps. There are several gaps, and I think most of you know about it, right? And also, slowly I will introduce the students to the literature metrics. Reading between 30 to 50 articles and try to find the gap or the direction from that literature metric. And definitely, I just cannot assign them. I need to give regular feedback to them, to the students. So normally, the practice that I do is every weekly meeting. Okay, although this is still the informal coaching, right? So the next step, once the student has been enrolled to the university, so then it will be counted in a formal workload. So I can mention, okay, Miss A is my student because she already received the offer letter and she has been accepted as a student in the university. So in this process, okay, I call it as formal process because the student is already mine. Okay, so in this manner, I will prepare student, okay, to the defense research proposal. So before the defense of research proposal, they have to do certain things. So for UiTM, my university, the students are required to come with 3 chapters. Okay, chapter 1 is introduction, chapter 2 is literature, and chapter 3 is methodology. Right. Once they already pass the defense of research proposal, okay, then they can be equipped as the candidates, right? So the most crucial part in this stage is to prepare a timeline, right? Remember, for master's by research, it should be 4 months. PhD is 42 months. So that is where, okay, I will sit down with my students and discuss, okay, the various activities they need to do in semester 1, semester 2, semester 3. Okay, so at the end of semester 3, if possible, they have to submit their thesis. That is for masters. And for PhD, normally the students will be ready to submit their thesis by the end of the semester 5 or beginning of semester 6. If they go for that GOT, right? So, okay, we have to remember, okay, in life there are ups and downs. If there is anything happen, okay, to the students, let's say the dismissals of a family matter, so we need to adjust. It's just happened to one of my DBA students recently. She completed her Viva at the end of semester 7. Okay, so for DBA, the period is 48 months. So actually, she can GOT. But what happened during uh, the end of the correction is that her father passed away. Okay. So this is the element of humanity of a supervisor to come in. Okay. So in my heart of heart, when I news, I may say, oh, maybe this is not God's willing, right? But we are not giving up yet, right? So I just give my students 1 or 2 weeks there to actually to comfort her and all that, right? Because the faculty wants the correction to be submitted by the 3rd week of this month, so we still have time. So that's what I mean by flexibility. Okay, timeline is important, but it can be adjustable, right? So both students and supervisors need to remind each other about timeline. So each time there is hiccup along process, I will go back to the timeline that we have agreed earlier. Okay, so this is the example of the PhD timeline for a student. Okay, we start with registration, then defense of research proposal. Normally, defense of research proposal has to be done in semester, the 2nd semester. Then that's where the corrections come in, right? This is our timeline actually. Now, my university is really particular about the research ethics application. So after the correction of the proposal has been done, the students need to apply for research ethics. Okay. most of my students are doing or using secondary data, the annual reports. So the level of the risk involved is quite minimum. So even it is minimum, because of the procedures, it can actually reach up to 3 months. Right, so the risk ethics, but while waiting for the risk ethics, students can do other things. For example, like writing an article. Okay, so after ethics has been approved, then the students can proceed with the data collection, right? Then continue on with the thesis writing. Okay, then also if the students have mixed math, so there will be two phases of data collection. Again, okay, writing will be the next one. Okay, then when the six chapters for university, students need to write 6 chapters. The students and the supervisors have to submit the notice of intention to submit thesis. And this is only allowed for 3 months. Okay, so let's say the students cannot submit after 3 months, they have to resubmit another notice of intention. So basically, GOT is already out. Okay, so if you want to GOT, okay, make sure your students can GOT. Okay, all these procedures must be within the timing given. So I think you agree with me. Okay, you agree with me that when you talk about GOT, it's more on the timeline. It's more on the time management, right? Then thesis submission. Okay, then Viva, the corrections after the Viva. Okay, and then hard copy binding, but now all the thesis is being digitized, and the last one is Senate letter, right? So this is my PhD students that graduated. Everything is less than 42 months. Okay. Right. So what happened before? Okay. Yeah. The best thing is that, okay, for you to make sure that the students do well in the DRP is that we have to allow several rounds of rehearsal or mock DRP. It is very important. Okay? I still remember when this picture is captured in 2018. This is during the Labor Day, public holiday. And yet, I still can come to the office in order to coach my master student, right? And also, please take some time to go through the student's slide, right? You will find, okay, a lot of mistakes. Okay? So normally it has to be checked at least 2 times. Okay? So this is what happened before defense. Quite slow, right? Then the second formal process is after defense of research proposal. Okay? So normally, from my experience, the students receive minor correction. For ITM, okay, that is for your ITM, in order to graduate on time, later on, when the students pass in the Viva, they have minor correction. Okay, and then what if the defense research proposal is that the students have to do correction. And normally for minor correction, it has to be done less than a month. Okay, that after the defense, then only the research ethics application need to be done. So this method may take easily 2 to 3 months as well. Okay. So what happened during this process is that the students can actually refine their instruments and the checklist. Okay. So this is one part that is submitted during defense of research. So here, okay, in this each At this stage, the verification can be done by sending the instrument to the academicians or to the industry. Okay? So this basically can add the validated instrument. Okay, and also when we talk about data collection, right? Students may need to get permission from the relevant authorities. For example, in order to get the 100 top companies, okay, so students may write to the relevant party like FSE Russell Client Service, okay, to get permission. Okay, and as a supervisor, please take your time also to check, okay, the content of the letter addressed to this authority. Okay, because when the students actually write to the relevant authority, they are carrying the university's name and also the supervisor's names, right? So please take the time to check content of this letter. Similarly, when the students are doing qualitative study, so they have to get the permission from the top management of the organization. Again, as a supervisor, please check, okay, the content, okay, the grammar of your students. I know some of us may think that this is a bit too much, but again, okay, I'm thinking about the organization's name, right? About my name appear in the letter, right? So you have to check the content of the letter addressed to the external party. Okay, and also during the data collection, during the formal process, okay, we need to check all these elements, okay, the verification measures, okay, for reliability and also the validity. For quantitative, for example, okay, if the students are using content analysis, how are we going to make sure that this reliability take place in the instrument that they are using? Okay? And similarly for the qualitative, okay, how are we going to make sure that uh, the students remember, okay, the contents of the interview? That's why, okay, right after the interview, I only request my students to do the transcription immediately. This is basically to avoid forgetfulness and also to actually stick to the timeline that have been done earlier. And I also follow the same procedure when I did my PhD. I did mixed method. So after the interview, I quickly did the transcription. So it's easier that way because we are catching up with time. Right? So when you see what I presented today is more on like checking the students' work and reminding them from time to time. Okay. Then when it comes to data analysis, okay, again, we have to actually take a little bit of time. Okay, as I mentioned just now, my students have very minimum experience in research. So in this part, apart from sending them to attend the training, yeah, I also try to demo to them on how to use certain statistical tools. Okay, or what I can do, I will ask the students to, what do you call that, the seniors, okay, in order to help them with data analysis. And um, I'm trying to be involved, okay, I'm trying to be inclusive in my supervision. So I will be actually, I can't wait, right? I can't wait to ask the students, okay, so other variables that are significant, okay, happen to the just ask way. Okay, is it good? Is it bad? And things like that. So we need to say I'm involved in my students' work, right? Not just actually directing them to do what I spoke to experience. Okay, the learning process that my students has. Because we have to remember every student's, okay, learning technique, okay, thesis technique is unique, right? And this is actually very important for us so that we can actually polish up our supervision skill and try to improve ourselves, okay, in the supervision. And similarly, okay, in qualitative study, okay, I will guide them on how to transcribe the data, okay, on how to use the three procedures, okay, from data reduction, data display, and also conclusion. Okay, conclusion drawing from verification. So again, I will be more excited here, and I will ask them, is there a new finding? Is there any finding or not? Okay, or does this support the theory that we are using? Okay, because we have to actually advise the student if the results are not good. So are we going to just let the students to continue? Right? So that's why each time I get the findings from the students, I'll be very excited because I want to be involved. Yeah, I know when we talk about postgraduate studies, it is supposed to be independent, but in my case, because students are actually having lived experience, so that basically forced me to be involved. But again, this is my style. Okay, the audience may choose to follow or not follow, right? Yeah. So this is the most critical parts. Yeah. Students normally have difficulty, right, to connect to the literature, to support with the theory, and so on. So that's why, okay, chapter 4, chapter 5, okay, at least you have to read their chapters at least 2-3 times. Okay? Because you want to see the connectivity between the chapters, right? The students may not like it, but they have no choice. They have to rewrite based on our comments, right? As a thesis examiner too, I find a lot of problems in the thesis which I examine. Okay, I think one of the reasons is lack of reading and lack of review by the supervisor. Okay, but again, cannot blame the school. Okay, the students' responsibility to polish their thesis, right? And again, the timeline is the main difference that we are going to here. But I find that timeline is quite difficult to be complied by part-time students. I have also few students that are also working, so they have problems in sticking to the timeline. So point that I will say, okay, it's okay. Don't push the students too much. But for my university, the GOT is actually for the what do you call that, for full-time students, right? And then we also have to make sure that students are familiar with the thesis guideline. I believe every university have their own thesis guideline for the submission purpose. Okay, and also while doing the chapter slide up, the students can also do the uh, journey. Okay, because certain universities they have certain procedures that need to be followed. Okay, before the thesis submission. Okay, in terms of the publication. Okay, so the next process is notice of intention to submit thesis. So this happens when the students have in the first draft thesis, 6 chapters altogether. Okay, so at least students will have to submit the table of content, thesis abstract, and report for the plagiarism, okay, to the university. Okay, and this will take around 3 months. Okay, so meaning to say, if the grace period of the 3 months is not applied, the students have to submit another notice of intention. Okay, so at this stage, this is quite crucial for both supervisor and students. Okay, we not only praise the student, but we as the supervisor, we must be ready mentally to read our in this 2 months. Okay, you don't count it 3 months. You have to count it as 2 months, okay, in order to chase the GOT. And the supervisors will appoint or nominate the examiners. Okay, so submissions of thesis, okay, students' thesis need to be checked several times. And for those students who are quite weak in their English, okay, in their language, it is available to submit to the professional proofreader, right? And must be familiar with the thesis submission requirement. Okay, when examining the thesis, I found few encounters. Okay, I normally check the table of contents with the content. And what happens that sometimes the student actually did not check their table of content, okay, because there are mismatch between the table of content and also the page numbers in the thesis. So, and check your students' work as well. Okay, so the Viva Bose normally 2 to 3 months after the thesis submission. So I always follow up with of postgraduate studies. If the thesis examination is actually considered 2 months, okay, I will give the head of the postgraduate studies a call saying that, so what is the status now? Are we going to have Viva soon, right? So again, when we talk about GOT, it's about the timeline, monitoring. Okay, you supervisor have certain say because we supervisors are not supposed to be in touch with the examiners, right? But the supervisors can actually find out the status of the thesis correction. Okay, then like the defense of research proposal, always do Viva with you, right? Not only in terms of their presentation, check their slides, and also try to actually highlight what are the potential questions that may be asked during the Viva. Okay, and for this matter, okay, the Center of Graduate Studies or the faculty actually can help. Okay, can help during the Viva committee. Okay, indicating the performance of the students. Let's say if the students has the potential to graduate on time. So this is the role of the head of the postgraduate studies of the faculty to mention to the Viva committee, okay, telling them that the students are having potential to GOT. Okay, and correction after Viva, right? Make sure the students complete the correction as soon as possible. Okay. So the experience in helping students to complete revision also differ from one stage from student to another, and always give emotional support, especially in this period. Yeah. Especially when the amount of correction is substantial, a lot. Right? Sometimes 10 pages, 20 pages of correction. Okay. The time given is let's say 1 month, 3 months. Okay. So where also if it is a minor correction, internal examiner facilitate the GOT process. Because I found that some examiners, although during the thesis correction, also take this time to do the endorsement of the verification. That shouldn't happen actually. Okay, because based on my experience, if it is just a minor correction, we can finish doing the endorsement for the correction for 2 weeks or less. Okay, so what I'm trying to say here, when GOT, okay, earlier from the defense up to the thesis, okay, is between supervisor and but after during the Viva and after that, okay, that is actually the administrative procedures that can be actually less stringent. Okay, and there should be a cooperation between all the parties involved. Okay. right? And the last stage, if everything is fine, is the hard copy bound or digitization of the disease. So this requires endorsement of the supervisors to endorse the disease. And lastly is the Senate letter, right? So all process have to be completed, including the digitization or the hard copy binding of the disease. Then only, okay, the student's case will be brought to the Senate letter. And for a student that is graduate on time, okay, there is a congratulation message appear in the letter. Okay, so CC to the supervisor, right? So this is the celebration, okay. Okay, so I was awarded as a best supervisor from my university because of the achievement of the student. Okay, so because I think this is not easy to achieve. That's why the university actually give appreciation to us. First one, right? So what are the tips? Okay, we have gone through the process. Okay, the additional tips that I would like to share with all of you. The first one is commitment and communication. How willing we are, okay, to go through this journey together with our students. Okay, so to me, I'm willing. Okay, I work day and night, okay, weekend, weekdays. So this is not an issue for me. And we have to regularly communicate with students and make reminder. Okay, at times I'm tired and I almost give up. But I try to keep on going, right? Process. Okay, and be a supportive supervisor, trying to be positive, right? Uh, all these related activities, for example, entering the innovation competition, okay, writing in a journal are actually new to the student. Okay, so we cannot just direct them. Okay, we give instructions them. Okay, so we have to be a mentor to our student. Try to be more inclusive in the research activity. Okay, the third point is strong support from the top management. Before the pandemic, yeah, the defense of the research proposal, the Viva and other activities are actually held at the campus at the faculty level. So I have to fly all the way from Sarawak to Selangor to attend these research activities. And the top have given full support for this because it requires financial commitment and so on. So I cannot make it, my student cannot make it without the top management consent, right? Then self-enrichment. Okay? So this is our bread and butter in our academic line. So there is no excuse for basically continue learning. Okay? We are lucky to have all the social media that can help us, the Facebook, okay, the webinar like this, and so on, right? And even as the examiners also play an important role in sharpen our supervision skills. So self-enrichment is important. Okay? And the fifth one is knowing your own strength and capability. Yeah. I actually my informal coaching is I will tell them this is my area, this is the methodology that I'm using, and so on. Okay, for example, I'm not using survey, so I will tell them, okay, right from the beginning, because I am afraid that I cannot supervise carefully. Okay, so we have to know our own strength and responsibility. There is no point that you ask your students to do hindrance to achieve GOT. Okay? And almost we need to read a lot, okay? Because especially for my students that have minimum knowledge in research. So we are responsible to basically update ourselves with the current issues, with the hot issues, so that we can actually share with them on the potential topics that they can actually take. And I used to hear this a lot at point number G. This is not my disease. This is your disease. Okay, most supervisors like to say that to the students. Okay, I think this philosophy is actually irrelevant now. If you want to achieve GOT, right? If you want to actually help the university to achieve the ministry's performance indicator, so this point is irrelevant anymore, right? And the last one is that, yeah, once you have a good reputation, right, for supervising the student, for graduating the students on time, okay, it will actually help you, okay, to add credibility, okay, on your academic reputation. Okay. Right? So I like writing. Okay, as Dr. Haider introduced us now. Okay, I love publishing. So all my work starting from 2012 up to now. Okay, I have actually come out with an ebook. Okay, so you can uh, buy or you can look on all this information in my first single authorship book. Okay, based on my experience. Yeah. Right. So basically, as a supervisor, we must always feel motivated, okay, and always disciplined. Right. Your students look up on you, so you must show good examples to your students. But we have to remember as well, for GOT to be achieved, yeah, it has to take two to tango, right? Okay. Not only the supervisor, okay, that really want the students to GOT, but the students, okay, have to start from the very beginning. Okay, whether they want to achieve this meaningful achievement or not. It's going to lead to a win-win situation between both. For me, I can be reached at Corina, Corina at UiTM.edu.my. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Prof. You explain it very well. Awesome session. It was really the way you started it from the supervision process. And I love the tagline, which was the supervision with care and wholeheartedly. I really love that sentence. That was so awesome. And I love the way you explained the things which, and you mentioned it with the red color, which was very nice. And I love the way you have mentioned it is voluntary work, because it's the consultation we do, and it's not sometimes counted in our workload, but we do it with wholeheartedly and with the proper care. Which is the great thing. And I love the way you explain the whole process, right from the registration to the Senate letter. What are the things, what are the difficult part, what are the different stages. Another interesting session was that you mentioned the different types of gaps, the knowledge gap, the content gap, the population gap, and you give the reference. And that's the beauty of the researcher. They always give reference what they are saying and why they are saying and from where they have quoted it. That's the wonderful part of the researchers. They always love to give the reference to authenticate their whatever they say. And I love the way you have explained everything in minute details. That was a great thing, Prof. Another important aspect was the great thing that you talked about the different writing chapters. The writing chapter, you mentioned it very nicely that it is all about uh, time management and how do you write, how do you link. That is the very important part. I think the students, they should listen to it very seriously, and they should be very careful that how they are going to write it. You have mentioned very nicely the problem statement, all these things, how they are going to link it. And most importantly, which tips you have given is so great, that it should be the current one. Sometimes they come up with the old literature references which are not the current one, and they have to update it. Last but not the least, the quotation you have given at the end of the session was so great, highly motivated. And I was just thinking that how great supervisor you would be when somebody would be just your student, and how lovely you will be just guiding them with the care and with the wholeheartedness, which is very important. Because usually I say to my PhD students and master students that choose the two things, very important things, and choose it very wisely. First is choose your topic wisely, and second is choose your supervisor wisely, because both will motivate or demotivate you. So your chemistry should match with your supervisor, and your understanding, that is very important. Because it's not about the supervisor, it's about the attitude, and it's about the understanding level we have with the our supervisor or not. And people are different, so we need to respect the difference of opinion as well. So really, Prof, I enjoyed the session with you. The way you explained everything was so great, Prof. If you allow me, should we start with the first question, please? Yes, Prof. Prof, the first question I want to ask that they said that, Prof, thank you very much for such a wonderful session and for your wonderful time. Prof, would you like to explain how do you define success for your student in terms of GOT? Yes, please.
How do I define?
Yeah, yes, Prof. For example, be proactive, or what kind of things you give them. Example, for example, your previous student, you tell them the story of their success. That look, they completed on time and they followed these kind of plan. So they say that for a newcomer, how do you define success for them to be on GOT?
Okay, right. Um, for me, okay, with the GOT, apart from receiving the certificate of appreciation from the faculty and also from the university, it is actually something which is meaningful for students, okay, to apply for their academic position in the university, right? So I have two students, two students, and they graduated on time. Now they are working at the university. Okay, and nowadays, for you to enter the academic position, okay, you must publish at least one scopus, one or two scopus. So these are the package, okay, that comes along, okay, with the students when they graduate on time. They can use that, okay, for the application as a lecturer in the university. Okay, so how I define my students. So out of my what do you call that? Four master students graduate on time, and both of them work in university. So as a former supervisor, I'm very proud with them. So this is also how I define success, yeah, to them. Apart
Yes.
from other usual things like publication in Scopus and all that, yeah. So in terms of the career, okay, and all that, okay. So I believe I have actually assisted them, okay,
Yes.
in their career.
Yes, wonderful, wonderful, Prof. Thank you very much for such a wonderful answer. Prof, there is one comment for you. And the comment is they said that thank you, Prof, for your nice presentation. You reminded me the article key factors influencing graduation on time among postgraduate students are PLS SEM approach. They said that, Prof, what you have said is also mentioned in the research article regarding the GOT. And thank you for explaining in a wonderful way. That was a very helpful presentation. So that was the journal comment. And now another question, Prof. They want to ask that, Prof. You explained time management skills are very important to be on GOT. But how about self-management skills, particularly related to the stress? How do you see it? Yes, Prof.
Yes, okay. Very good point and very good question. Okay. I wish you can ask my former students, okay, how was their experience under my supervision? Uh, I cannot deny that, okay. There are few students are actually almost quitting from their study. They want to withdraw, okay, but they never inform me during the process. They only inform me after they have completed the process. Okay, because uh, one big reason is that they have limited uh, knowledge, right? Uh, and this is the results of the depth of Haider. Okay, I'm sorry, okay, if I offended the younger generation. Compared to my time when I did my PhD, I really enjoy because I want to know, okay, what will happen next and all that. So this philosophy actually continue until now. As I mentioned in my presentation just now, I want to know the findings of my results. Okay, how's the adjusted R squared? Positive, negative, right? So I don't know, okay, but I think it's all in mindset. If you really enjoy your journey, whatever it takes, you will try to overcome it. Okay, I very stressful, but what I find lacking nowadays is that there is lack of reading interest, yeah, among the students. They want sometimes that's the reason why uh, the students have to push them doing the literature metrics. That's the only way. And I always tell them that you must be smart to know all these activities are interrelated. For example, when you do your literature metrics, you can do a systematic literature review paper and publish it in a journal. Okay, so that's where they see the beauty of it, right? But stress actually, yeah, again, as a supervisor, I try to consider, okay, when there are tragedies and all that, when my students are sick, yeah, we try to actually cope with their situation by asking, by being more empathy and all that. Okay, but stress management actually, of course, there are few ways. Okay, it's no harm that you basically detach yourself. Okay, detach yourself 1 or 2 days from your research activity. Okay, but you cannot do that all the time if you want to GOT, right?
Yes,
That's
yes, Prof.
answer for
Very
that.
nice. Yeah. Yes, Prof. Thank you very much for such a wonderful and elaborative answer to this question. And I think that's very nice, and you are giving a wonderful recommendation to the students, and they should ask your previous students in order to get more understanding how great supervisor you are. Prof, there is one another question, and they want to ask that please share your opinion that the role of institution support is very important in GOT. So, as a supervisor, how do you see the role of supervisor and institutional support to be on GOT? Yes, please.
All right. So the role of supervisor, I think I have explained clearly just now. Okay, it should be embedded as okay in individual. Okay, So if you have the mindset, if you have the values to assist, yeah, uh, there shouldn't be any issue. For me, it's more on fulfilling. It's a very rewarding. Okay, and with supervision, actually, I can do a lot of things. I can do research based on my experience, and I come out with a book. So that's how I see things. I don't see this activity as a burden. Yeah, I believe I actually add value to others by practicing good supervision. That is one. Uh, as for the institutional role, it is very important to promote, yeah, the achievement of the both students and supervisors in achieving GOT. Like what we have in my university, the posters that I'm sharing with all of you are just a simple way to recognize the achievement for both students and supervisors. That will do a lot actually, and more promotions need to be done. Okay, more awareness need to be executed, especially at the postgraduate center. Okay, on the importance of this GOT. Okay, and I believe in my university this element is still lacking as well. All right, because not everyone is actually ready to work extra hard, extra time, energy, like we're doing right now. So a lot of encouragement. Um, it used to be a monetary reward, okay, by other local universities in Malaysia, but it did not happen. It does not happen in my university. But me, it is secondary. I just like to see my students graduate on time. So it started with me, and also need to be supported by the student as well. Yeah.
Thank you very much once again, Prof, for such a wonderful answer. I'm really enjoying the way you are giving answer because your experience and exposure are also very important, and these are the great highlights for the upcoming researchers, particularly to graduate on time. One last question, Prof, they want to ask that, Prof, do you encourage your students to plan and work independently? Yes, please.
Uh, please repeat, Dr. Haider.
Yeah,
Cannot
the
really
question
hear.
is, do you, Prof, encourage your student to plan and work independently? And you always ask them to take guidance on weekly basis from you.
Yeah. Okay. The crucial timing is at the beginning of the research, especially when they have not passed their defense research proposal. Okay. Uh, we as a supervisor, we have to really see whether the students are ready with their studies or not. So that part actually before the defense is very crucial, right? So you have to see it from different perspective. Okay, if the students' learning capability is bad, okay, right, or good, okay, yes, you can let them to do independently. But again, the monitoring role is still important. Okay, but there are some students who really need close monitoring. You really need to remind them from time to time. It depends on the student's capability. Okay, I would love to see them being independent, but at the same time, uh, I will always check on them time to time. Yeah.
Yeah. Very nice, Prof. Once again, thank you for such a elaborative session with us because the way you explained each and everything was so great. I really love the way you explained everything and what a powerful content you have shared with our audience around the globe. And you can see in comment section they love that thing, and one of their suggestion is that if these guidelines should be issued by university from time to time, that would be great. But people like you who are doing a fantastic job, they are a wonderful professor and speakers and authors and researchers. You people are sharing your knowledge and experiences, which are very helpful for upcoming researchers and students. Prof, at the end of the session, we ask each our guest that what is your message to the world? So, what are your concluding remarks, and what is your message to the world as a teacher, researcher, speaker, trainer, learner, professional, and educator? Yes, please.
My final word is be ready to contribute. Okay? By contributing to other people, to the academic community, this will give more impact okay, to the academic world. And I strongly believe that by doing so, this will add values to everyone. Thank you.
Wow, what a superb message you have given to the world that be contributive. If you contribute, it means you have brought the significant impact on the research and to the field. And that's, I think, the wonderful part of the researcher. They always come up with the contribution, which we write in the thesis that what is your thesis contribution? And if you carry out this research, so what? So again, as a researcher, as a speaker, as a teacher, as an author, you have given a nice message to the world that do contribute to the world, and that's the wonderful part. So to the audience, please do follow the distinguished guest speaker through her research work, and you can email her for future learning and guidance. She is very generous and always ready to help the people. Moreover, she has explained in a wonderful way, and that wonderful content was great. And I'm sure that you will learn a lot and develop your understanding regarding how to achieve the GOT. So that's all we have time for today. Thank you once again, Professor Dr. Corina Joseph, for your wonderful explanation and powerful content and for your time. And I would also like to thank our audience who joined us. If you have any additional questions about the information shared today, please email to us or connect to the speaker directly through her email address or social media account. Thank you all for your support and liking our session. Stay tuned as many sessions are on the way. Please do not miss any session. Until next session, take care of yourself. Bye bye.